like to show you 10 different aspects that I've developed over the years that I feel will help you for sensing yourself and sensing your partner on a limited practice time. Of course, you can take any one idea and expand it, which I encourage, but also if you don't have time, the idea is even to touch in one of the 10 aspects for just 5 minutes a day so that you have it in your cellular process and then it's ready for you the next time that you can touch into it. That nutrition is an obvious, very important aspect in terms of whether you include supplements and you eating well and all of those parts, and also the fitness involving the muscular development and the cardio aspect. How you pursue that, whether it's swimming, whether it's walking, running, going to a treadmill, working with a personal trainer, however you pursue that, obviously those two items, nutrition and fitness, are incredibly important to every program. So now we're going to move on to what my favorite part of all of this is, the rest of the 8, which I feel are the way you find how to sense yourself and ways of being in the world and also sensing people around you. My first aspect to that, after nutrition and after fitness, which are again incredibly important, they're cornerstones to every part of your life, but I want to move on to this idea of stillness. And that place where you find whether you're sitting on a ball, you're sitting in your favorite chair, you're sitting on a meditation bench, whatever that is, where you can sit and find some inner moment to be still, that your brain starts to slow down and you start to realize, can I focus on something? Whether it's your breath, your in-breath, your out-breath. I don't want to make this like a very complicated meditation program, and it may be that you already meditate and you're fantastic at that. But what I want to do is to encourage people to find a moment in their day, and it may be, sitting, how you find to be sitting still, having good posture, looking at your alignment, whether it's your legs crossed. If that's not comfortable, again, sitting in a chair is fine. The idea is that you have moments that you stop thinking about the outside world, you look at the stillness inside of yourself, you bring yourself inside, and you notice, can you be still? How many times in a 5-minute program of sitting still, even if you set a timer, does your mind wander off that one aspect that you want to focus on? And you might start to understand that it's a place where that stillness is a mental capacity and a mental development, that it's not about just being busy and doing stuff all the time, that a strength of your personal development is also the ability to be still. So again, I encourage you, it doesn't have to be a formal meditation idea. I don't want to discourage people. Some people are meditating an hour a day, but even 5 minutes to touch in with that still place within yourself. So my fourth aspect that I would like you to consider is emotion. You can do this separately, you can do this at the end of your stillness period, but I want you to realize how much emotion affects how your body feels, how you're acting throughout your day. So I encourage you just to take a moment. If I'm sitting here and I'm still and I think about being maybe sad, and I think, what effect does that have inside of me? How do I feel when I'm sad? How does that make the world feel like it's, for me, pulling in? Each person's going to have a different way of resonating with that emotion. And then maybe as a contrast, I think about what it is to be happy, how my body feels, for me, again, lightens up and feels more like I'm part of the world. And it's recognizing, again, all these emotions that we experience in our day, they have as much impact on us as anything. and getting a sense of how they do affect us, whether we're happy or anxious or angry or whatever all those multitude of emotions are, and realizing that's a real part of what affects us in our daily process. Okay, moving on to the fifth aspect that I've looked at is weight shifts. A lot of times we're aware that we're in a body, but how much we include little aspects of being out of balance, not being structurally aligned, all those things that you can work out with Feldenkrais or chiropractic, or there's a lot of different modalities that you can look at your basic structure. But it's also to play with that, to realize how insignificant that point is. Now, of course, when you're sitting on a horse or you're ballroom dancing, you need to be very centered but elastic. And so, and again, it also helps to keep your joints more sound, and again, working on your structural posture and just playing with what it means to be unbalanced. So little things like you go to stand up, I'm exaggerating my aspect of, oh, my weight's out of balance and being over here. What does that feel like? And exaggerating again what that feels like to be out of balance, doing something odd that makes me become aware of my body in a different way, what this is like if my head's hanging over here, or something again that's not normal, and exaggerating what my out of balance alignment is. So again, as a very critical point is where your weight distribution is in your body, whether you're a small person or a medium-sized or a large person, it doesn't matter. It's what you do with that weight, how you move it from one step to another, how you balance it, are you aware of it, are you carrying that weight? All of those aspects are a big piece of your personal awareness and development. So number 6 on my list, and it doesn't mean that it's the 6th least or most important. It's just, again, in a sequence, like I said, starting with the nutrition and building on that. They're just aspects. You can look at them as each individual blocks. So this section is stretching. And again, the goal is to make it personal, to make it relevant, to make it something that you enjoy doing. You may enjoy doing the same stretching routine. You may enjoy doing a different routine. Whatever motivates you to want to stretch. So I'm going to just run through some very simple aspects. I do the same routine often because it gives me a sense of where my body is for the day. I found that it fits all the different pieces. So I just start out with a very simple rotation. And again, the idea is a cross-referencing, moving my body in some way I don't move it normally, and then changing just a little bit that my head looks in the opposite direction of my rotation. And again, all these things are gentle and not to be in competition within myself, but just to feel and to start loosening things. And then from there, maybe I go just to, again, loosening my neck, being very careful, but just, again, easy head rotation, both directions, being aware, what does my neck feel like for a day, being very aware if I have injuries and all those different aspects. Working maybe to loosen my shoulders, rolling my shoulders in both directions, feeling the range of motion that I have in my shoulders. Can I pull them up? Can I pull them down? A lot of people are like this, and you may not even notice that your shoulders are up until you rotate them and you move them in some way that they're down. And then moving from there, working with maybe just a rotation of my hips, and feeling again a circular action, the loosening of that section, or I think of my hips as a big joint, moving that both directions. You may notice that one direction is easier than the other direction. Rotating through my knees, you see that from the side, just again, a gentle circular action. Something, it also helps that I'm loosening my ankles as I do this, so I'm stretching through my ankles as well. Then I may go to something simple like an overhead stretch, reaching up, reaching out, stretching and lengthening through my back, taking that stretch, down to the ground. It may be that I can only stretch this far or this far. For me, I have long arms, I'm fairly flexible, so my stretching point is here. I'm not pulling, but I'm stretching. And then I can go through the sequence, whether I go here, out to the front, down to the ground, and again, doing a couple repetitions of that. Then maybe going for stretching my leg, feeling that this is lengthening and this is pulling down and stretching. And maybe your leg is at this angle. Whatever, again, that you feel is beneficial, and also this starts to challenge my balance, but my lengthening and my stretching in this. Taking that on, and again, this is just my program. You create your own program. I work on stretching here. This has been very critical for me as a rider to figure out how to stretch all of this area so that it's flexible and pliable. You notice in this stretch, my toe is straight. And then I may go on to this stretch. I'm doing the other side. And again, my foot is to the side. You'd be surprised just changing those little bit of angles make a difference. And a person may stretch this far. For me, because of my inherent feel, this is where I need to go, that I start feeling that all of this is opening up. And then maybe moving on where I actually turn my foot over. And again, I know that a lot of these are aspects from Qigong or yoga. And I'm just saying, I'm playing with these, finding what is relevant for my stretch. So this is another stretching element. It stretches a little bit different area in here. Maybe I go from there that I work on rolling. Some of the aspects are, again, which is for my spine, creating a rocking action. Can I do this? Is it easy for me to roll back over here? Some people it's very stuffed, and then this is all they can do, and that's fine. But again, I do this as a cross-referencing, staying at something that's different than I do in my normal process. Also, in a very simple way, letting my legs fall over to each side. And it could be that I look in the same direction as I'm rolling. This is a cross-coordination exercise, rolling my legs to the opposite side of my head. So can I bring them and put them in an opposite direction? And working with that aspect. Also maybe working with, again, the flexibility for riding is very huge. Creating a clockwise rotation in my hip in both directions. Noticing, oh, can I rotate one way, but I can't rotate the other way? Again, all of these are very individual. I encourage you to add other ones to your list, to your subtract ones. But the biggest point is even 5 minutes a day of checking in with your stretching. So earlier I talked about weight shifts, but I like to take that on to another level, being balanced. I think of weight shifts and balance being separate. They are integrated but also different. So little tests. What is your balance like with your arms hanging? Can you swing a leg? Can you stay in balance? Do you find that you need your arms when you start to move your legs? This is all part of developing an independence to your extremities. And again, as I'm swinging my leg, can I swing it here? Can I swing it to a great degree and still use basically my torso to stay core connected and balanced? Or do I need to again catch my balance or start using my shoulders to catch myself? Or am I able to be still? Because obviously with dancing and with riding, I want to learn how to be independent in my shoulders and have my arms separated and be able to do something with my legs, whether it's closing on the horse or in dancing, whether it's moving, but being separate here. So I'm checking that. Can I do a simple leg swing? Can I move my leg out to the side with balancing? Can I move my arms? You know, all these basic, simple things, you know, you'd be surprised. Can I lift this leg easier than I can lift this leg? And again, noticing if I have to have tension in my upper body. Finding other points. You know, when you see a gymnast being able to walk on a really one line, thinking of these aspects of balance. But again, playing, all of this is about playing and sensing into yourself about what your ability is for balance. So the next big one on the agenda is rhythm. Obviously, when you're in a partner, whether you're on a horse, I can have this as my horse, and I'm trotting, which is a two beat action, 1, 2, 1, 2, or I'm cantering, but this idea of mobility. Obviously, in riding and in dancing, you're having to fit with something else that is moving. So the big question is, what is your sense of rhythm? Do you have a sense of rhythm? That's going to be a fundamental part that needs to be developed. And again, not so much in just a scientific way that you know the music, you know it's a waltz, so I'm moving 1, 2, 3, or it's a foxtrot, I'm moving in 4 timing, or it's on the horse, it's a canter, so it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes, you have to know that, but are you aware of that as a sense in your body of the movement of the timing, not just hearing the timing? That's the first step. Can you hear the timing? But can you also feel the vibration of the movement through your entire body? So one way to develop that, whether you're sitting in the car, you're listening to music, can you start separating out and hearing the beat? It could just be that you start snapping your fingers to it. One of the aspects that I look at is I've been shown that just marching. Can I march to a timing? Like if there was a cha-cha song on or there was some other music, could I just march to that, knowing? Can I march knowing that I'm moving and then I'm marching and then I'm moving again all the time, that I can keep track of being on the beat of the music and moving? Maybe I add in that I'm marching and then I'm clapping. I'm doing 2 things. Can I move and then clap? And then I move again. I'm marching, and again, this has that I'm doing multiple aspects and that I'm still keeping on the timing. And again, the idea is to find your way of being able to play with that and take that into your body and to practice away from being with your partner so that you understand and you can feel that in your own body presence. So, something that has become incredibly important in my process has been very unique. There's a world champion ballroom dancer. His name is Hans Loxholm, and he lives in Sweden. And he has developed a band system for ballroom dancers that helps you to integrate yourself. So again, that improves your integration to your partner. In the process of spending over a year now working with this band system, I have taken pieces out of it, have worked with it, and also looked at how to integrate it for riders. So what I would like to show is in the beginning of the band system, this is a stretchy band. You can get one with different tensions. It doesn't really matter what the tension is, just that there is a tension. And part of the idea is at the very beginning of it, I just feel what that tension is. I'm not doing anything other than just getting a sense of the elasticity of my arms, because again, for riding, you have to have independent elastic arms. Dancing, whatever it is, you have to have elastic independent arms from your body. So this helps with becoming aware of that. So often when we have instruction in these sports, we're told to put your arm somewhere. Well, how do you remember where you put something if you don't connect it from the inside of your body back out again? So with this integrative system, I found it's been so useful to understand, well, how do I find the placement of my arm? It's from the inside of my body out through the extremities. So in starting with the band, I'm in neutral. I just, again, with my knees soft, I'm posture straight. I just have a sense of the band to get a sense of what the tension is of the band. And then as I move from there, I think if I breathe in, can I feel that my in-breath, if it's low, expands into the band? You can play too. Can I feel it in different aspects? here. And I'm not going like this and locking my knees out. I'm just feeling, oh, as I breathe in, there's a counteraction that goes in opposition to the band. That as I breathe in, my center moves back and my arms stay in front. Now, as I develop that, I take that to a next level. As I come in, I actually make a point to put my arms in opposition to my center. So I'm literally, the action of my body is sending my arms forward. So this internal action, and again, all of this is very, very subtle, but the internal action, it's almost like it goes into the band and back out through my arms. So this action, and again, this is the part of learning how to isolate my core, how to have it perform. Then I can take that same action and my integration moves my legs. This action of moving into my center also can activate not only my arms, but my legs. And feeling, it's not that I'm just doing this and moving my leg or just moving my arm. There's an action that I'm doing that integrates all of that. Now I'm working with the idea that I'm moving in diagonal, that it's my opposite arm and opposite leg. Opposite arm and opposite leg. What's that feel like here? If I'm riding, that I'm sitting. I can do this, again, I could do it in a chair, sitting on my ball. And again, this is fun for riding because obviously I'm like a vertical spring when I'm riding. So when I'm sitting on my ball, it's a little bit like the horse. And I can feel as I do this exercise, is there a balance? Can I sit on my ball, keep my arms independently in front of me with some connection to the band, and move a leg? Could I do two? And again, in opposition. And again, this is just playing with things. It's different also if I'm like this, independent, just keeping my core straight, versus again, with riding and dancing, I need to have this independence. I'm sure whether you're a batter or you're a golfer or any sport, it's always about how to develop independence of your extremities from your core. So then you can educate it all separately. So again, in looking at the balance, playing with that. Also, can I, stretching. So what I'm doing is I'm rotating. I can look in the rotation, I can look opposite. This fits with stretching, so I'm doing two things. One thing would be, I could add to this, to music. Can I bounce in time to what the music is? It's like the clapping. Can I bounce and stay on time? And then I can play with that even. This is, again, just making it interesting. Can I move my legs and keep bouncing? Can I do an action and still keep timing? So if I was riding the horse in the 2-beat gait, which is the trot, could I send one arm forward? Could I twist and still keep the ball bouncing in rhythm? And again, all of this is, again, to make it fun. And this action is not a normal action. It's how to keep the body alive and connected. One of the great things that I learned from one of the Balamo teachers, Eckhart Miner, is you're trying to look at how to keep your body alive and doing something, whether it's a cross-coordination exercise or something you do as a child when they're crawling and they're doing things and they're moving around. And as we age, we move away from all of that playfulness in our bodies. So I encourage you with this. You turn on a song that you like. Find the rhythm of the song. Work with the stretching. This is all checking on your balance. And just have fun with it. So in my 10th and final point that I would like to work with and encourage you to explore is the partnering aspect. We started in section 9 with the band and playing with the band, feeling how to connect the inside of our body out through our extremities. And that sense is so critical in whatever sport that you're pursuing. How do you find a reference point from the inside to the outside, whether it's with the horse, with the dancer, with the golf club, a basketball, whatever it is. And so in that next step, and working with somebody, but not actually in your official sport, you can start to understand how that other element is distracting you out of your senses of yourself. Whether, again, it's looking at the stillness in your mind, your flexibility, your balance, your weight shift, all of these aspects that we've talked about so far, and putting that all into use with the partner. So in starting with the partnering aspect, it doesn't have to be anybody that knows anything about dancing. All you need is somebody that can respond, that's living, can give feedback and awareness, because that's all this is. It's a sensory process for developing your awareness. What I encourage is that we start out somewhat centered in our body. We don't have to take on that internal aspect, but again, a sense of alignment. If we're both working on it, if you have a partner that doesn't want to do the list of 10, but they're willing to help you, fantastic. You can work on your list of 10. If it's the other person, and the idea is that we match with our hands, and even starting from this subtle point, that you have a sense, I'm just standing in neutral. We're both just standing in neutral. I'm going to have Barb stay in neutral while I'm going and changing what I'm doing in my posture. Now, I can change my posture very slightly. That is that engagement from using the band. And what that does, you probably feel that the pressure changes in my hands. And the idea is that as I do that, it's sending my body sense through to her body sense, and it's connecting. And just by her even being in neutral, she's receiving my energy, my presence, and my preparation. So whether I'm doing that or I'm taking hold like in a dance position, I'm organizing myself. I'm getting ready in connecting. Whether I'm sitting on a horse, before the horse moves off, I'm organizing my body so that I have a connection in myself and that I can feel what this partner is doing. So in taking this to the next step, we have a contact. I'm going to stay in neutral, and I'm going to ask Barb to step towards me and just move me back, and then she's going to go back. We're going to just very simply going back and forth. So she moves, and I'm just following her, whatever she's doing. And if she decides to go the other direction, I'm just matching her at this point. We're just feeling and having a sense. Now, if I connect myself and I ask her to then move me back and forth, the question is, does that feel different? Does that feel different to you?
Very, much more solid.
Yeah. And she has much more of a sense, even though that I'm connected, it's probably more like I'm plugged in to the connection to you, that you can feel where my legs are going. You can feel what the timing is. You probably have a better sense that you can control my body. So then, taking those exercises, you start out very simply, just back and forth. You can then play with it. I can ask Barb to turn me left, right, change tempo, all of those things, and reading each other. We can take turns being either connected, neutral, disconnected. I'm going to do one example of being really disconnected, and I'm going to have her just, again, she's not going to tell me where she's going to move me. She's just going to move me somewhere in this space, and then we'll go back to me being connected and how different that is even for me as a follower, because again, in both dancing and in riding, you're both a leader and a follower. You set up the sequence to do something, but then you're receiving what that partner's doing and you're following. So your goal is to be both a good leader and a follower. So in this case, I'm going to have really disconnected. You can see I'm hollow in my back, aren't I? My pelvis is out, my back is hollow, my shoulders, everything is disconnected. Like I have as minimal body. I'm going to ask her to move me. And again, it's a little cheating because I dance and I have some interconnection, but I can't even find her when I'm that disconnected in my body. You probably are wondering, where did she go?
Yeah. Like a spaghetti
There's
noodle.
nobody in there. Yeah. And now I'm going to go to, again, the work from the band of being connected and being present and plugged in. And again, I'm going to ask her to move me. So now I can feel everywhere she's taking me, in her arms, in her body. It doesn't matter if our legs are the same or they're slightly different, but now I can completely sense into every movement, whether she's moving her arms, what her speed is, her intention. And again, it's very simple, but it allows me to be connected. And this is, again, another creative way to have fun. 5 minutes a day, you could play with your kids. You could do that with your husband, somebody at the barn, you know, whatever that is. Just that idea, you do something playful that helps you become aware of yourself, sensing in and reaping the benefits of that.
All right, very good. Thank you.